Pull away. Okay, please.
Bhante, I just have a very simple question about the donor and recipient.
Yeah.
Does the gift, the object of offering, count at all?
I think probably so. You mean the value? Does the value of the gift determine?
If it's a big gift or a very tiny gift, does that make any difference? Or a very, very valuable one?
Yeah, I would say probably giving value, but again, it depends on who the recipient is. Like giving precious diamonds to a monastic person, even though the diamonds would be very valuable in themselves, but since giving diamonds, it's an inappropriate gift to a monastic, you open your mouth as though... When you were in Kandy, yeah.
They just offer this beautiful jewel decorated something to that Buddha relics temple.
Yeah, well, that is making offerings to the Buddha relic.
Not to.
It's not to a monastic for the personal use of the monastic. Yeah, so even though the diamonds are very precious, but giving them to, say, a monk on alms round, it would be a completely inappropriate thing to give.
But what if money?
What is that?
Money.
If one is in a situation where it's, like strict observance of the Vinaya, then one doesn't give the money directly to the monastic, but one gives to the Kapiya.
Bhante, let me create a situation. A same donor donate to a monk, an ordinary monk, not enlightened, and is a diligent monk. But during that giving, like a tasty food, the monk actually crave the food and create craving. That's one scenario. And the same donor give to an ordinary person, a Pachuttanan, just an ordinary worldling. But that worldling really need the food and it survived the life and is so thankful. Is case one better or case two better?
Maybe describe the two cases again.
Case one is a monk, but while he is a good monk, but just right at the moment enjoy the food, create craving. And the case two is an ordinary person and is very hungry, and it does help the suffering of not enough food.
Okay. I'm not omniscient. I don't know. But what I would say is that if there's a person who's really desperately hungry and needs food in order to survive, it's not just, giving a gift of food, but, just to satisfy the desire for a particular meal, but in order to sustain the life of that person, then that would generate, I would say, a great amount of merit if it's done out of compassion. I don't want to get into comparisons, but sometimes people, I have to say, in Buddhist country or in Buddhist traditions, think that it's important to make gifts to monastics and not to give to poor and needy people. And so monasteries are sometimes oversupplied with material goods, where the ordinary people in this society go hungry without their basic supports for a decent life. And that's not, in my mind, that's not suitable.
Hi, Bhante. Yeah, I think this is a very interesting subject. I mean, I've noticed in the years that I've practiced how people behave differently. I mean, I've seen people who are very extremely respectful to monks,
Yeah.
and then just completely ignore, other lay people.
Yeah.
Don't
yeah.
even say hello, or completely unfriendly. And then, I've seen the opposite.
Yeah, I didn't catch what you.
And I've seen the opposite. I was thinking maybe you can do a compilation of all the different suttas that deal with specifically
deal with
dana giving. And
Yeah.
it'd be interesting because
What I've found, though, in the Pali Suttas, dana is almost always explained as lay people making gifts to either monastics or to samana brahmana, to ascetics and brahmins. Very few texts deal with giving to ordinary people or to non-monastic people or to animals. And then there's one sutta, I have to say, I'm not really happy with this sutta, and I have actually no suspicion that it seems like I would suspect that it's a later composition inserted into the canon. And one could see the motive for inserting it. So this is the sutta, it's actually the one in the Majjhima Nikaya that we spoke about before, called the analysis of those of recipients of gifts, Dakineya Vibhanga Sutta. Because this gives almost like a mathematical scheme for calculating the value of gifts. Like a gift given to an animal has a certain worth, but then if you give to an ordinary human being, then that gift is, say, worth 1,000 times the gift to an animal. But then if you make a gift to an ascetic who, I think to an ordinary worldling, and then you give to an ascetic who has overcome sensual desire, temporarily, then the gift to the ascetic is worth 1,000 times the gift to the ordinary person. But then if you make the gift to the stream enterer, it's like 1,000 times the value of the gift to the ascetic who's overcome sensual desire. Then if you make a gift to an once returner, it's 1,000 times the gift to a stream enterer. A gift to a non-returner is 1,000 times in value of the gift to the non-returner. The gift to the arhat is 1,000 times the value of the gift to the gift to the arhat is 1,000 times the value of the gift to the non-returner. In the Mahayana tradition, in terms of those types of...
Yeah, I've heard also in the Mahayana tradition, like if you were a bridge builder in the next life, they figure out what kind of rebirth you'll have depending on the type of dana you gave.
Mm-hmm.
It's very specific, right?
Yeah, I don't think you find something so specific in the Pali Suttas themselves, but that's the kind of thing you find in commentaries. I think Bowe has another one.
Bhante, does the Theravada tradition also distinguish the field of respect and field of compassion?
Actually, that's a useful distinction that I found in Mahayana sutras, but also I did like a search for it. I found it maybe in the Mahavibhasha or some other non-Mahayana source in Chinese. Yeah, what this is... Okay, in certain suttas it speaks about two fields who are considered worthy of gifts. So one is called the field of respect, and then that is the field of respect would be monastics, or more broadly ascetics and Brahmins. And then the field of compassion are those who are needy, beggars, poor people, people who are the sick, and so forth. And in some places, a third field is given. That's called, I think, the field of gratitude. So that is parents and teachers, parents and secular teachers. Yeah, maybe in some versions, or some texts, there's only the two fields of giving, the field of respect and the field of compassion. In others, I've seen a division into three fields, with the field of gratitude laid out separately. Yeah, it's called the Upasaka Sila. I think it's called the Upasaka Sila Sutra, the sutra on the Upasaka's precepts. So the Bodhisattva contemplates two kinds of fields, the field of merits and the field of the poor and needy. Okay, because the Bodhisattva wants to increase his merits and virtues, he gives to the poor and to those in suffering. Because he must increase his peerless, wondrous wisdom, he gives to the field of merits. Out of gratitude, he gives to the field of merits. Because he arouses compassion, he gives to the poor and needy. To abandon the defilements, he gives to the field of merits. To perfect his virtues, he gives to the poor and needy. Yeah, this is from that Hang Ching, the Sutra on the Upasaka precepts. Okay, any further questions? Okay, I think Johnny has.
Bhante, it's the same dana that given to the same person, but without witness. And another case with some deva and observe the giving, and will gladden the deva. Will the second one generate more merit?
Because there's somebody witnessing?
Yes, the deva is gladdened and happy and witness and rejoice in the giving.
And the person who is giving doesn't know that a deva is witnessing this?
No.
He doesn't know.
Yes, the giver does not know.
I don't think that would affect the merit of the gift. It's just that the deva will participate in the merit if he rejoices. But often, in the Buddhist countries, when they practice meritorious deeds, then they share the merit with the devas, the way we do after the class. Akasa tacha bhumata deva naga mahidika punyantang anumoditva, asking them to rejoice, and then they participate in the merit. Yeah. Well, one does it just in case. It doesn't mean that we definitely know that the devas are present. But you just assume that they might be around watching.
So there's a difference in attitude, right? When you give, not to gain merit, but just because you genuinely, and then there's the giving because you actually want to gain merit.
Yeah.
I know it's okay to give with the purpose of gaining merit, but isn't the merit determined ultimately by the attitude that?
Yeah. So I would say that, in my opinion, if somebody gives with the aim of gaining merit, in the sense that they want to get certain advantages for themselves, that in a way it tarnishes the merit of the gift. Because there's some like greed arising along with the act of generosity. But sort of the ideal attitude is that when one practices giving, one understands the law of karma. And so one understands that practicing giving is going to yield merit. But one doesn't give for the purpose of gaining the merit. Jill, did you have your hand?
Oh,
Why don't you come closer, then you can take the microphone more easily.
Bhante, what if someone has the resources but they don't give because of their judgments or hatred? There are a lot of people who have everything and they could help out and they don't. What is the karma and the repercussions of that?
So they don't give.
They don't give. And when they see someone is in need.
Yeah. Then the mind sort of contracts with miserliness. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's miserliness. So miserliness is a mental defilement. Yeah, and so that is creating, you would say, unwholesome karma.
And do they pay for that karma in this lifetime or in other lifetimes?
Well, any karma has the potential to ripen, it says, either in this life, in the next life, or in future lives after the next one. So I guess there would be other factors that we don't understand at work that will determine exactly when that karma will come to fruition.
but somebody could have a lot, but maybe later in their life, but didn't have a lot when they were younger.
Yeah.
So they don't give, not because they're miserly, but because they maybe have some other issue that.
Oh, if they don't, what's the hypothetical case that she spoke about is a case of somebody who has a lot of wealth, but they don't want to give. That's correct? Yes. Yeah, but they don't want to give. So that's quite different from somebody who is, just struggling to get by. But I think what is said, or at least in some post-canonical texts, there's the famous story about, I think there was like a very rich man who was giving, thousands and thousands of dollars to build like a memorial shrine. And then there was a little elderly woman, very poor woman, who just had like a few pennies, so to speak. And she took one of those pennies to buy a candle, to make the offering of the candle at the memorial shrine. And then somebody came to the Buddha and said, who got more merit? The wealthy man who used his wealth to make offerings of gold, to put gold plating around the shrine, or that old woman who took the candle, who bought the candle to make an offering. And then the Buddha said that the old woman who used a few pennies to buy a candle to make the offering got more merit because her saddha, her faith, was stronger, and she had no ulterior motive apart from her devotion for making the offering. Whereas the wealthy man who offered the gold plating, a gold leaf, he had a lot of wealth, so he just had to give like a fraction of his wealth. And he did it desiring to get the merit.
Is giving only has to do with wealth, or it also has to do with giving compassion to others, or taking care of them when they're sick, or doing other things for others?
No, those things are also forms of giving.
I see.
Yeah.
Thank you. And my last question, I notice certain cultures are much better about it. I think they're taught, from the time they're very young, and then you have other cultures that are not as good. I feel, as an American person, that I wasn't really taught that.
Yeah.
And for me, it's not as easy or as natural.
Yeah.
It's like sometimes a little bit of a struggle to decide about giving, whereas I see other people from other cultures don't have that struggle. It's very natural and easy.
Yeah, I think maybe because people who come from particularly like traditional Buddhist cultures, so they're taught to practice giving even when they're little children, even if they don't quite know what they're doing, but the parents tell them, give this. And then they do it, and then the habit comes built in. But in American culture, we're always taught what you've earned is yours. You're entitled to it, that's your entitlement. Okay, maybe we call it a day. Okay, so let us end with 3 half bows.